had been excluded from humanity now. But one day, I hear all of this commotion. And crowds of people are following along as if there's some object that is pulling them and paralyzing them into the very center of the stage in this road they're traveling. And I was compelled. I was drawn to forget about reality and my senses and my troubles and my affliction. I was drawn to a journey that seemed to be the same magnet that was pulling them to this place. And I pushed through the crowd, forgetting to yell, "Unclean, unclean," until I saw the man that they all centered upon. I saw this man. Some of those between me and him now yelled, "Unclean, get away!" My energy was gone between my affliction and the emotional journey that it had taken to go through the mobs of people to get to this man that was here. All of my energy was gone, and I fell before him, trembling with fear and drained of my emotional, spiritual, and physical energy. I was afraid to look up. I was afraid I would be stoned or worse. And I said these words: "If you're willing, you can make me clean. If you're willing, you can make me clean." Something happened that I had so longed for. Something happened in my life because I was suffering from skin hunger. You have to be a leper. You have to be ostracized from humanity to understand skin hunger. I just wanted someone to touch me because I had not had the touch of another human since I hugged my wife and my son and said goodbye. This man that was there before me reached out his hand with compassion and touched me and said, "I'm willing. Be clean." He touched me, a leper, decaying in my disease and my body falling apart, showing all of the signs of this devastation when everyone was given up on me and yelled, "Unclean, unclean." This man touched me. And the third miracle became he made me clean. "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." And I felt that strange thing, that touch that began to feed the human touch, my skin hunger. And now that I'm clean and healed, I can be with you again. I can embrace my wife again, and I can pick up my son and hug him again. I can be with humanity. It was hard to accept that this man's touch had made me clean, because all of the time I had to look at who and what I was. All of the signs that were there, they rested upon my body, and when I came near you, I had to yell, "Unclean, unclean." But now I can say I'm clean. I had a hard time convincing me, so I could convince you that I was clean. But immediately the leprosy had left me, and I was cleansed because of his touch. Now, I believe that this man could have healed me without touching me. but He wanted it to be special. He wanted it to be a healing just for me, and so He touched me. It wasn't just for the crowd that had engulfed Him and pushed Him and moved Him along. He centered out me from the crowd and touched me and cleansed me. He was willing to make a difference in my life and make me whole. I ran with all of the strength that was renewed within me. I burst through the door and I grabbed my wife and I said, I am clean, and I embraced her the way I'd been embracing her in my heart all of the time. And I looked to my son and I grabbed him and I said, I love you, I embrace you. As you had been burned into my heart, I am clean. It took a long time for our life to get back to normal, if there's such a thing as normal, when you have been unclean and cleansed and made whole. My life was changed by the man who was willing to touch me and make me whole. Now, I don't know how that happened at the leper's house. Can you imagine with me it happened something like that? Can you imagine the parallel that maybe even Jesus felt when they yelled out, unclean, unclean, and Jesus in His own life would soon hear the words, crucify Him, crucify Him? The same people were doing it, the temple priest. The religious leaders were crucifying Him that was yelling, unclean, to this man. Do we ever see the impact of sin on our lives? And how it impacts the people that we care the most about? Do you ever walk where I walk? Not as telling a story about a leper, but about realizing that there's things in my life that makes me the leper. That there's times in my life that others should yell, unclean, unclean. Do you ever go up to someone, your spouse, like I have at times, and embrace them and wonder why they even love you? Because there's that human part of us that's unclean, that God is still fixing. And because of that, we see it in ways and symbols that it comes out not with white spots of leprosy, and not the decaying and not the inability to feel. But to understand that in our own lives, when there's sin abiding in us, that it hurts other people and it becomes obvious to other people. And the longer that we can tolerate sin in our lives, we become deadened to its effect. And it's not until we begin to bleed that we even realize there's a problem. You know, if there's one place in life I could back up and change things, it would be in two areas. It would be in the husband and the father that I've been. Because that's my tightest